The corporate offices of Croft International were a hive of high-stakes tension. A multi-billion-dollar merger was entering its final review, and the 50-floor suite was crawling with lawyers and executives. But inside the grand office at the end of the hall, the silence was absolute. Sienna stood just past the heavy mahogany doors, clutching a leather folder to her chest. Her heart was a frantic drum against her ribs. She was the picture of corporate efficiency in her tailored cream suit. But on the inside, she was unraveling. The door behind her had clicked shut, sealing her in with the one man who held the keys to her world and her soul. Julian sat behind his massive black marble desk. He looked immaculate, wearing a slate-gray bespoke suit, his silver-dusted hair combed back, his expression a mask of unyielding authority. He was currently on a high-security international speakerphone call with the European Acquisition Board. His crisp, commanding voice filled the room, detached and professional, discussing numbers that could shift global markets. But the moment Sienna stepped forward to lay the files on the desk, his ice-gray eyes darkened. He didn't interrupt his sentence to the board, but his long, calloused fingers reached out, his hand wrapping firmly around her wrist. Sienna's breath hitched. She looked down at him, her eyes wide, silently pleading with him to let go. The British executive's voice crackled through the speakerphone, demanding answers about asset splits. Julian didn't look at the phone. His gaze was anchored entirely on Sienna. With a slow, deliberate movement of his free hand, he reached over and hit the mute button on his console. He pulled her closer, his massive frame instantly dominating her vision, cutting off the rest of the room. The scent of his cedarwood and rich leather enveloped her, making her knees instantly weak. When he spoke, his voice dropped into that deep, gravelly register that he only used in the dark. He told her they had 2 minutes. 2 minutes while the board pulled up spreadsheets. 2 minutes where the outside world couldn't hear them. Sienna whispered, asking him if he was insane, reminding him that the entire board was just outside the door. But Julian merely stepped into her space, his thumb smoothing over her lower lip, pulling it down gently to expose her breathy gasps. He told her the doors were locked. He told her that the sheer danger of the moment was exactly what she wanted. His hand slid down to her waist, his large palms warm against her skin, pulling her flush against his hard, rigid chest. The contrast was agonizing. The cold, clinical corporate environment surrounding them, and the white-hot, consuming fire burning between them. He leaned in until his lips were a fraction of an inch from hers, his hot breath fanning over her mouth, driving her completely out of her mind. Then the speakerphone blared again. The board was asking if he was still there. Julian didn't pull away. Instead, he unmuted the console with one hand while keeping his other hand locked possessively around her waist, anchoring her to him. He spoke into the room, his voice completely calm, smooth, and professional as he answered a financial question. Though his eyes were locked on Sienna's flushed face, watching her struggle to breathe. He leaned closer, his dark command vibrating against her mouth, telling her to be quiet, telling her not to make a sound. The sheer, intoxicating overload of the situation, the fact that an international board was listening to her boss while he held her completely captive against his chest, was overwhelming. Her fingers tangled into the fabric of his suit jacket, her knuckles turning white as she fought the whimper rising in her throat. When the call finally concluded, Julian hit the mute button one last time. His eyes were dark with a primal, possessive satisfaction as he looked at her swollen lips and her trembling frame. His voice was thick with unfulfilled hunger as he told her to smooth her skirt, to get back to her desk, because they had a merger to close. He was a man used to getting exactly what he wanted, and she was beginning to realize that one lifetime with him would never be enough. Read chapter 1 to 20 of One Night Wasn't Enough right now. Link in bio to download the full novel on Sealer.